So Greg, had you done sales training before with the team? And if you had, what was the experience? How would you describe previous sales training companies that you brought in to do the job?
Yeah, so previous ones, it was very generic. So we've done two. We had one with an Australian-based company who was a known trainer, but it came in and it was very much the generic A, B, C. It was like a 2-minute noodles packet rather than actually making a meal. And that was a real tricky one, because anyone that sort of had a little bit of history or understanding, 2/3 of it was boring, and then there was only really a little bit of engagement. But also they did it with big groups, 20 people on a group on a Zoom call, and I'd go to them and I could watch the people just zoning out. They weren't engaged. Because there was nothing to keep you engaged. And really, we came out of it like, I went to them. I watched a few things, but we probably only ever had 1 or 2 people that would comment, "Oh, this was something interesting of that." But they were only taking 5% out of the 100% that was thrown at them. And to me, that was it didn't, for what it was worth and the time that they had to give up to do it, it wasn't worthwhile.
So then, based on that experience, and then working with me and going through the program, how those two sort of sales trainings compared?
Yeah, look, I think just you did the work on the background. You wanted to know what the people were and what I thought of them. So it felt like it was going to be more catered. I think the rural aspect, and again, it comes back to your simple part. Those emails you send out, I read those every day, or every time they come through, and I can comfortably say that 75% of what's in there is actually very, very relative directly to what we do. And that was part of the reason for me reaching out to say, well, have a look at this, what do you do? But as I said, the engagement and the actual want from you to, well, they're not out selling cars, so I don't need to teach them to be a car salesman. It's like, what do they do? But putting it into context for them, and that's probably the highlight for me, is when the guys would highlight, they would come with a question and you could relate to it because you actually understood what they were doing. It wasn't a generic sales thing. It was how to relate to what they were doing. And to me, that was worth, it's worth 3 times as much, because it's one-on-one and it's actually real. It's not just McDonald's say, do you want fries with that? It puts it into context and it puts it into relation to what we do on a daily basis.
Awesome. So how did the guys sort of describe the experience? So when they come off the weekly accountability calls, how were they describing it to you? What were they describing the experience to you? What feedback did they give you as their manager? Those that did feedback, it was very, very positive. They were actually excited about going to the field and trying what had been discussed, and also then highlighting that this was something we did, or this is something that came up, and then they could actually give you a real life situation and explain how they dealt with it, and just get some feedback. Well, yep, maybe it could have been done this way, and then they would put that into action. So the fact that they were wanting to leave those meetings and try and put it in action, to me, that was gold. As I said, the last other trainings we've done, you don't see that. They watch it, they might pick up one pointer. The guys were actually going away with an enthusiasm to go out and give it a go. That's what we want from salespeople: enthusiasm and wanting to do it, rather than sitting there going, "Oh, well, someone else has pushed something down my throat, but I don't like it." Whereas, there was genuine 100% engagement with it, which was good. Great feedback. Greg, share what you are comfortable with sharing. Maybe it's percentages. I don't want to work profit and commercial sensitivities, because that's your business, not ours, and we respect that. What kind of results did you start to see in tonnage and units, or however you want to classify? What results did you start to see as the guys started to climb into the program and we were transferring these tools and the skills into them?
Yeah, look, I think, there's definitely been a lift. Some of it was going to happen, but at the same time, they still needed to know how to close it and how to sell it. I've seen, even in the guys that probably weren't quite as engaged as others, their lift, like Richard would have comfortably had a 30% lift. across, and that's comfortable. And even just in the way he talks now, even though he wasn't the most enthusiastic with it, the way he talks about his sales, you can see there's a change. So even though he's the slow burner, it definitely had an impact. Tom, I would comfortably say 25% increase, and confidence that will grow into, I'd say, at least 80 to 100% increase on where he is now, because he has the confidence and they're putting that in action. Harry was doing well already. For him to do 100%, it would be impossible, but he's got a 10 to 15% increase. He's picking up more clients now every day, and that's really comes down to, I think he was always enthusiastic, but I think a channeling of that enthusiasm, which the course has done, has definitely made him a better overall performer, and we will see dividends coming from that in the future as well.
Awesome. And then behaviour-wise, as general manager and with these guys reporting into you, and you being a leader yourself, what sort of behavioural change or shifts are you starting to see in the guys when you're having your conversations in your sales meetings? What are you picking that's changing or has changed?
Yeah, I think that they've definitely taken a lot more ownership of what they do. They want to do it not just for the business, but also because it's them. They understand that sales reflects on them. It's not just a company thing. It's people can buy off anyone they like. But the fact that they're selling themselves, and we try and encourage it, you sell yourself as part of our business, not the business by itself. And I think that engagement that we're seeing with them has really been noted. The ones that have done the course, there's a far more positive attitude whenever they come into a meeting than those that haven't done the course. So it's very easy for the ones that haven't to say, "Oh, the grass is growing," and say, things will slow down a bit. Whereas they're looking at, the grass is growing, but they look for the next step. Well, grass is growing, but does that mean the quality's gone down? So therefore, I need to look at X, Y, and Z as a way of keeping my sales going or further increasing my sales when everyone else is going backwards. Yeah. And I think that in itself, I can see that in my offsider who didn't do the course, but he's seen it as well. It's very easy for people to give the excuses as to why they're not selling more. These guys might look, things are slowing down. However, I'm going to be doing this, and this to actually keep my tonnage up and grow tonnage while everyone else is dropping. Now, for us as a manager, that is the ultimate thing you want to hear, because it's very easy to have a negative, and that negative drags everyone else down. It becomes an easy excuse. These guys are bringing enthusiasm across the rest of the team that the others can't sit there and just say, "Oh, my tonnage is dropping. It is what it is," because they're hearing, if the tonnage is dropping, then we've got to find another way. And that is really lifting the rest of our team that didn't do the course as well. It's putting them on the spot, really. That's probably the one benefit. And it's removing that negative attitude, or they're allowing a negative attitude to come in. They're looking for a positive or looking for a way of growing.
So Greg, again, great feedback. Is it around, if I've got this right, is it that traditionally, perhaps the guys that didn't participate on the program, grass growth, obviously at time of this recording, we're hitting lush grass season, plenty of it around, quality is still pretty good, sugars are high, crude proteins are high. And your business, with the guy, is there a distinct difference between the guys that are selling who did the program and the guys that are selling who didn't do the program, whether they're above or below that kind of curve? Because obviously it's a more challenging environment. How would you unpack that?
Yeah, definitely. No, the guys that have done the course, they're driven, they've pushed for more. Whereas the other ones have taken the easy approach, the ups and downs happen. And instead of actually reflecting on what they're doing, they blame the industry or the market or the conditions. Yeah. The guys that have done the course, the conditions are the conditions, but people will still buy and they will still need to feed. It's about how you condition yourself and how you portray what they need to do. And I think that's probably the one thing is they've learnt to not just take I've got plenty of grass. Well, just because you got grass, but what about this and what about that? So they've learnt the art of the conversation to actually make farmers stop and realise. And the lead thing I see is that they're not afraid to challenge a farmer or plant an idea with a farmer, so then the farmer starts to reflect on what he's actually said. Yeah. And I think that's the difference between someone going on farm and farmers saying, "Oh, no, look, the grass is growing, we've got shitloads, we're going to cut back on the feed rate." Yeah. The ones that aren't doing it, except a guy saying, "Oh, I'm going to go from 4 kilos to 1 kilo because we've got lots of grass." These guys are challenging them and saying, "But if you do that, what's going to be the payoff? why are you putting a lower quality feed in when you could be chasing money at the moment? There's money to be made. So it's given them that ability to actually sort of try and highlight without being arrogant. I think that's the key too. They're not just walking along and being an arrogant prick. They're actually doing it in a way that it makes the farmers sort of stop and comprehend and listen, and then go, well, actually, you might be right. I better look at that. And I think there's sums it up. They've had quite a few guys that dropped off, eased back, but within a week, they've come back and they've increased their feed rates again. And I think it's because they've planted the seed and they're asking those questions, or why are you dropping back? What is your net gain? What are is it not better to be looking and making more silage for winter rather than trying to feed it now just because you can? So we've had a really good win with that. And again, our tonnage to the month to date is showing that. We've just had, it's our 4th month in a row we've had record tonnage despite going into spring, which historically would see tonnage drop off as grass grows. So it's definitely there's a factor to it, and I think 99% of that factor is those guys are now driven to ask for more.
Yeah, so good to hear that feedback, because as you know, we do teach a lot more around curiosity and criticism, and also that opens doors rather than close it, and also the art of the conversation and the power of questions. So it's great to hear that the guys are using that to full effect. Greg, my last question would be, you're a fella, you've been around a lot, you know Mug, you've met people like me before who do sales training. Obviously, we specialise in rural, which you've been very kind to sort of highlight. What would you say to people that were listening or watching this and going, hey, look, I've got a rural sales team and I want to improve. I want to get to next forms. I might be too busy to train them myself because you've got a lot going on. You're running to Aussie, you're running New Zealand, you're running big teams, running ops. What would your advice be? What would you say to those people that perhaps are sitting on the fence, thinking about sales training, that perhaps have been burnt or bruised by that kind of cookie cutter, can one and done kind of show that we spoke about earlier? What would you say to them? What would your advice be to them?
Yeah, look, I think 100% give it a go. It's comfort to know they're getting it done right. It's industry related. It's one-on-one. It's small numbers. There's value in it. And just seeing the confidence that our team's taken from this, I'd do it tomorrow. If there was another group that I had that I felt where they weren't quite getting there, or their roles that they do now needed a lift, it would be done in a heartbeat. There is no, I couldn't recommend it more. I think, as you said, time is a valuable commodity, and you can't make more of it. But the one thing is you can use it wisely, and this here is probably the wisest use of our time and our money that we've spent in a long time.
Brilliant, Greg. And so it's when you report to the big bosses, you can say really positive ROI, good. You've obviously, you were very kind. You believed in me. You trusted the process. You gave me the team. You entrusted in with me. You can go to the board and management and say, guys, this was a really good investment.
Oh, 100%. We've already done that. When they were over, they asked about it. So that was after week 4 or 5. And just the general feedback they had from the guys then got them very intrigued. So, and again, they are guys that are in their 70s that have done a lot of sales. They've been involved in the industry for a long time. And even they highlighted, well, for the guys to have that much enthusiasm, and that was the way I gauge it. It's an enthusiasm that they didn't have before. That is a real highlight. It's a selling point of what you do, and in the fact you get it across and you get it into these guys. So I would 100%. It's been tabled at our board meetings that this is a model we will look at for the future, and we will do it again.
Awesome, Greg. Hey, I just want to say thank you for believing in me, trusting me with your team. You got a great bunch of guys there that I know you'll look after. They were an absolute pleasure to teach. I don't like to play favourites. There are a few, but I enjoyed their company. They were engaged, particularly a few of them, your high performers really gave it their all, their full arse, not their half arse, 110%. Also really, really humbled by the feedback around not only the professional benefit they got and the sales lift they got, but the personal benefit they got as young men or relatively young men.
Oh, definitely. Look, I think and that's something, in today's society with all the mental health, it's everything, but the absolute uplift that I've seen in those guys now, and Harry, you know him, he's had a bit of a knockback with his knee. His wakeboarding is on a little bit of a hold. He's got 3 months that he's got to have this brace on. Now, but even that, like when I first started talking about that injury, he was really down. But he just, you can tell there's little trigger points that he gets in his head that all of a sudden realizes, well, hang on, you've got to look at a positive. And I think just that the model that you've taught, I think it just highlights him to stop and think. There is no definitive no. You've just got to look at another way of doing it. And I think he's really taken that on board. And I said he's the one guy that has turned around and it was life-changing for him, not just for the sales side, which he was pretty naive on, but he had a natural talent. But it's actually changed the way he does his life, the way he looks at things on a general basis, and even just the way he interacts with everybody. He's always been a guy that will talk to anyone, but now you can tell he can read a conversation. He can understand when people aren't interested in what he's on about, so he'll change it. And he has this ability to engage with people, which I think's been quadrupled from what he had before, because now he understands it more. He always had an ability, but now he understands his ability and how to do it. And that's gold.
Yeah, thank you, Greg. And again, great team. Thank you for all your support, all your professionalism, and building a business case and allowing me to train the team. They've been an absolute pleasure, and I'm looking forward to staying in touch and teaching them more and training them more.
All right. And I said, I'm happy if you want to put me down as a testimonial or a private, give me a call to see what people thought. 100% put me down. I'll do that in a heartbeat.
Thank you, Greg. Really appreciate it.